yet? Train's going by. So let's check, right? Through this heart, heed my warning. You've been wrong before. Don't be wrong anymore. Train. Anyways, Philip. Little journey, I think that's who it was. Send me this check. Yo, so I was watching this one dude's channel, and he at first, the first time I watched it, he was like, update on the stimulus, and it was good information. And then he said, I don't want to be like other guys and say that you're going to get a stimulus check for more than what you are. Then he's, every day he's giving an update because he's had thousands and thousands of people want to know when they're getting the money. So I just stopped watching him because his updates were talking about Congress and Mitt Romney and who was voting on it and stuff like that. And we don't care. What we care about is when we're going to get our money. That's what we care about. We don't care what senator's doing what. We don't know those people. But we want to know, when are we getting our money? That's all we want to know. What's up? Can we get an update on when we're getting our money? That's what we want to know. Other than that, we don't care about what Congress is doing. You know? Now, as far as, he was saying, he was like, first it's going to be 1,200, then it's going to be 1,000, then it's going to be, with people who have family, I can see them watching his channel, but it just kept frustrating me because I keep thinking that it's coming out every month, and then when I try to listen to information about when it's coming out, it's not coming out. Thought it was coming out last month. People were saying it's coming out in July. Here we are in August. It still isn't out yet. So I'm just like, somebody just tell me when it's coming out, when I can expect it. It's even to the point to where the bank, when you call your bank, well, I call my bank gives a recording before you press any buttons. My bank gives a recording saying that for updates on your stimulus, when your stimulus check, not the update, they're saying something to the order of, find out when your stimulus is arrived or something like that. But when you try to talk to the operator and say, hey, customer service, tell me about stimulus check, they'll go, we don't know. But yet they have a recording on there talking about the stimulus check. What's the, listen, if you have no money in your pocket and you're not working and you're in this horrible, horrible situation where you have, these kids and whatnot, and people keep talking about the different bills that are coming out, the Superhero Act and all this, where every child gets $500. People are talking about all this money, but there's none in your bank. And then when you call your bank and they start talking about it, all you care about is, when is it coming out? That's it. I got things to do. I got things to pay for. When's it coming out? We don't care who's twiddling whose thumbs. We can't call these people and get upset at them. We can't go down to Washington and tell, whoever's in charge, look, we can't. Those people, hey, is the dryer fixed?
Someone's coming over, as maintenance, coming over to fix the outlet itself.
Oh, it's the outlet?
Yeah, they're changing it.
Oh, okay, yeah. I told him, I said, there's nothing wrong with that dryer.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I kind of figured that too.
Yeah. Okay. All right, thank you.
Yeah.
So I was, you don't care now. Fortunately for me, I live alone. So I don't have the whole family problem. But for these people who have the family issue, there's a house, you got 3, 4 kids in the house. You got, husband, wife, kids in the house. And you're out of work. You and the wife are out of work. I know people around here where they cut their hours. I mean, right here in this neighborhood, right here, they cut their hours. So the wife is only working part time now, and the husband, yeah, well, okay, so the way the check is structured, regardless of how much it's going to be for the individual, the way the check is structured as this: it's going to be a either $1,200 or it's going to be $1,000 for the single person. So then when you're looking at the head of the house, you're going to be looking at husband's going to get 1,200, wife is going to get 1,200, and then there's the differentiation between the kids. So one act actually has the husband and wife both getting $1,000 each, and every person in the house with a social security number gets some type of funding. But I don't think they're going to do that, and I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why. Because America is broke. Okay, the value of the dollar is constantly going down every day. The dollar bill is a depreciating asset. Okay, and we're going further and further and further and further into debt. Yeah, so there are a couple different acts that are being proposed. The original one with 1,200, that's still being proposed. But what they found, oh, okay, so what they found out is that Pelosi was like, yeah, when we gave people the stimulus check in May, all of a sudden the economy looked like it wanted to get back underway. So let's go ahead and do that again. So now they're trying to, of course, stimulate the economy again and saying, why don't we put more money into the economy to get the economy going back up? But here's the problem when you do that. Here's the problem about that. When you infuse cash into the economy to get the economy back rolling again, however you restrict shopping, you restrict travel, you restrict sports, you have all these restrictions. You can't even have so many people in a space. I mean, even when you walk into a store, there can only be so many people in the store. When you have all of these restrictions, but these people getting this one-time stimulus check once every 3 or 4 months, you have a small burst in the economic system. And the way the economy works, you can't just give small bursts and nothing, small bursts and nothing, because it's all dependent, of course, on the human being. So when we see this, we're going, well, when's the next time we're going to get our check? Because the first one you gave us doesn't sustain us. It's only $1,200. If you have a household and you have kids, $1,200 didn't do nothing for you. Now, of course, if there's two of you in a house, mom and dad and then kids, you got more than $1,200. But still, the way they did it is kind of like the way welfare does it. Welfare is not made for you to stay. It wasn't originally made for you to stay on welfare. It was made for you to get off welfare. Just like unemployment. Unemployment is not made for you to stay unemployed. It's only made for you to like cover some of your bills and then get you back out into the game again. So the stimulus check is the same thing. It's really not designed for you to sit back and just keep collecting stimulus checks. And that's the problem. If it was made to boost the economy and everybody could go back to work and things would go back to the way they used to be, where the economy is booming, then that's different. But that's not what's going on. It's a short it's a short-term fix to a huge problem that's just not going away. And the way it looks like, there are more and more shutdowns, there are more and more restrictions, there are people snapping on other people about not wearing a mask. I mean, there's just more and more going on to shut people down from going outside. So, when you don't have a lot of shopping and you're only doing necessary shopping, the economy itself is tanking, and it's tanking fast. Let me read this comment. At least 1K for a single. Yeah, at least, yeah. So they're looking at 1 grand for a single person, at least. But that's two different acts that were put on the table. So yeah, like I said, those are two different acts that are put on the table, and one is the regular stimulus with 1,200, and then so and so for uh, the for the children, and then the other one is starting to rain again, and the other one is 1,200. Or I'm sorry, 1,000, and so much for the children. Now the big difference is, what are the children going to get? That's really what the big deal is. The big deal is really the children, you know, and that's really what you want to take care of. I mean, you got to take care of mom and dad too. You just can't take care of the children and say, "Hey, peace out, mom and dad." The big deal is really the children because you want to be able to. And there's a few reasons why. One of the reasons is the children aren't going back to school. There's been different proposals to send kids back to school. However, the kids aren't going back to school. And when you got kids that are not going back to school, you have to do what? They still need to learn. So now they have homeschooling. And this isn't homeschooling that, you decided, hey, I'm going to homeschool my kid. This is something that's pushed upon you. And if you don't do it, your kid's going to get held back. I already talked about this. You know, you got people who graduated from their home. You know what I'm saying? So, terrible time to have kids. It is a terrible time to have kids. It is a terrible time to have kids. For those of you who are young people who want to do the horizontal bop and raise a family, I would definitely wait till the economy pops back up because if you don't, you're going to, I mean, look at the cost of a kid a month. I mean, you're going to hurt yourself if you don't. Just watching one of your videos, brother. Thank you. Oh, thank you. I feel like God brought me to your videos to show show your sins and regret. Yeah, you got to repent. But don't listen, just don't get out here and think you're going to be a perfect Christian because I don't think there was one ever except Christ. Aren't the schools offering online classes? Yeah, the schools are offering online classes. Yeah, they're offering online classes, but here's the thing. There are people who decided to take on the homeschooling themselves. Everything is set up for you to do homeschooling yourself. It really is. And the reason why I'm saying that is because the parents are home too. Remember, a lot of people didn't want to homeschool because they had to go to work, so they didn't have time. But now that the parents are forced to stay home, it's like, well, I might as well go ahead and homeschool you, and teach you in the ways that. So I know you're getting a good education, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're reaching a curriculum of if you go in there and take a test to your kid is going from the fourth grade to the fifth, and then you go and take one of these national tests that they have to see if your kid knows his I don't know what they learn in fourth and fifth grade, but and your kid fails it, then guess what? The onus is on you because there's a good chance that you don't know what you're doing. And this is going to be the problem. The majority of parents don't know high school, middle school, grade school curriculum. They don't know it, and you're going to have to learn this on the fly. It's just no. You're going to have a lot of kids that they just don't know. And another big problem is access to the knowledge. So of course, you got the middle class and the upper class. They have access to everything. They can learn anything. But then you got the poor, lower middle class. They might struggle a little bit, but the poor is definitely not going to have a bunch of iPads, brand new iPads sitting around. iPads $600-700 just for one. Even a used one, $200. They ain't got $200 to they don't have $200 for an iPad. Is meant. We ain't got no families around here with kids that age that I know. If they did, I would kind of help them with something like that. I would buy them a used one. But, you know, we don't have that here anymore. But it's just that stimulus check on the real. Here's what I think. And I am not Alan Greenspan. I'm no economist. Trust and believe. But in order for the system to even get close to being right, there. It, listen, they opened Disney World up. You opened Disney World up. You opened up the zoo. You opened Disney World up, but other places that are essential are not open up. You opened Disney World. Disney World. So it's just look, the new normal is so abnormal. It's just hard to even calculate how to get America up and running again. It's just we would have to look at Taiwan or one of those countries who never shut down, and they have no cases or very few cases. We have to look at one of those countries and say, okay, how did they do it? Because America is in a bad way uh, economically. But I was saying, but see, even that is just wrong. Because I was like, why don't they just do, you know, $2,000 a month for a family of four? $2,000 a month for a family of four. $1,000 a month for a single family, or for each adult. But that would put us even. That number right there would just, the value of the dollar is going to crash. It's just gonna crash and burn. Listen, the euro is the value of the euro goes up and the value of the dollar goes down. Just think, your dollar that you have in your pocket is not worth the same thing it was 10 minutes ago. It is constantly depreciating. The dollar is a depreciating asset. It is. Just like your car. Most of our automobiles are depreciating as they're sitting there, as we're driving them. Just like, the shoes you buy, well, most of them, and things along that. You guys know what I'm saying, but the value of the dollar is appreciating. And then I was also looking at, I read a headline talking about, can your bank fail? Well, yeah. See, that's where this is going. This is all going to a failure of the financial system. And we've seen the financial system crash before. I talked about this during 9/11. The financial system crashed. And I think this is exactly what they're going to do. You almost don't want them to give you a stimulus check. Because the short term effect is the economy gets a short jump, right? People go out, jump, and go out, and buy stuff, and the economy comes up just for a second. Then it goes back down into a slump because the economy is not all the way online. Even though they brought sports back, you got people who are still getting infected. Basketball players who are infected other basketball players, some of them doing it on purpose. So you still have them getting infected, and you're like, okay, people are still getting sick off of coronavirus, but you guys want us to play this goofy game. It's so important. They did that to try to stimulate the economy. That's what they did. That's what, go play this sport, see if it helps stimulate the economy. No, because you because you have more reports of the sickness that is happening. But like I said, you almost don't want them to give you a stimulus check, and you want them to take that money and do something that's gonna get the economy up and rolling. What you want to do is find a cure. This is what you want to do, so the economy can snap back to it all at once. That's what you really want to do. But the more of these stimulus checks they give out, the more America goes into debt. You can't just print money because the value of it constantly drops. If you just arbitrarily print money, you just go to the mint and say, hey, print off $50 billion. And they do that, and then they, put it out in the economy. Let me put you an example like this. Mansa Musa was the richest man ever. He was an African king. And basically, what he did was he had so many billions of dollars worth of gold that wherever he went, he had a large caravan with him, and he would distribute this gold in the countries that he went to. And it got to the point where even the value of gold dropped because he distributed so much out there. And that's what's going to happen. If they take the stimulus check and give out 2,500 to families and $1,000, to individuals, okay, fine. You're going to hear people do the same thing. Okay, we need another one. We need another one. Congress is going to be under pressure to perform. We need another one. Boom. 3 months later, boom. 2 months later, boom. A month later, boom. And everybody's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. But you're not. But you're so busy worried about your basic hierarchy of needs that you're not looking at the big picture. You're not looking at the economy itself. The economy is crashing, and it's crashing because the more you give out, and you're not earning that. See, that's the problem. You have whole factories that shut down. You millions and millions and billions of dollars that are not being produced as we speak. So you're giving out all of this money, you're giving out all this money, but you're not producing it. Listen. America's trade used to be steel. That was our one of our biggest, economical influencers was steel. Now you know what it is? Customer service. That's one of our biggest commerces. I mean, if you look at the GDP, that's one of the biggest thing that brings us in. Well, how are we doing that now? Telling people to stay home and do it? Still, you have people who have lost their jobs. You have people who don't have the equipment at home, and of course, companies. It's the onus is on them to go ahead and supply people with some of this. But still, there's a lot of them jobs been lost. See what I mean? You don't. Excuse me. We're not producing. We're not producing, but yet we're trying to stimulate the economy without producing. It's just it eventually it's just going to crash. It's just going to turn in on its own self because you keep going in debt. And that's what's happening. You're going in debt. Another stimulus check. We're going in debt. And it's not, Mr. and Mrs. Smith and Mr. and Mrs. Whoever over here is going in debt. No, it's the American economy that's going in debt. We're all on the same ship sinking. All of us, we're all in it together. I don't care what color you are. I don't care whose life you think matters and doesn't. Guess what? If you live in America, you're on a sinking ship. You're on a financial sinking ship. And you're in, like I said, it's a immovable object against an unstoppable force. Right now, since there's no cure for coronavirus or no public cure for coronavirus, that's an unstoppable force, and in, unmovable object is the economy itself. The economy cannot move unless coronavirus has a cure. So you're at a standstill, and those little stimulus checks are just hurting you. The only fix that there is a cure for the coronavirus, and everybody goes out and starts doing what they used to do. But even if there is a cure for coronavirus and it gets distributed, the greedy people are going to try to make their money off of it, which means it's not going to be available for everyone. So you're still going to have the have and have nots, and the people who are on the have not, they're going to not go back to work. They're not going to help stimulate the economy. So what are you going to do with those people who refuse to go into an area and say, "I know that I'm going to get sick"? What are you going to do with them? I'll tell you what they're going to do with them. Those people are going to have to be on unemployment. Unemployment lasts for 6 months, and then you try to get a extension of it. And then, I don't know how many times you can get an extension of it under the circumstance. But nonetheless, when that runs out, then you're going to have yourself a high crime rate. The crime rate, you think the crime rate's bad now? It ain't bad now. It is going to be horrible. Horrible, because you're going to have millions and millions of people who were not out of work who are now out of work, and there is, even if you get the economy back up and rolling, they're not going back to work. Why? Because they're not going to have access to this medicine, and we've seen it over and over and over again. They're already talking about putting certain kids in school just to see if they spread the coronavirus. That's what's going to happen. You're going to have people who are done paying attention to the law, and they're going to say, "To hell with the law. I'm hungry." They're going to walk into Kroger's. They're going to walk into Giant Eagle. They're going to walk into Winn Dixie or Piggly Wiggly or po-folks or whatever, and they are going to strip that place clean. And wherever police officer is in there is going to be overwhelmed quickly. And you can have 5 or 6 in there. You're going to be no competition because they're not going to come, 5 or 6 people at a time. It's going to be like 5 or 600, and they're going to run that place down. And good luck trying to catch them all. Good luck. But you did this. You set these people up for failure, and they're like, okay, we're not going to smash windows. We're just going to run into Walmart and take whatever we can and take our chances. And that's exactly what's going to happen. And then when you have so much of that, knee jerk reaction is that, how can we protect our assets, says Walmart? How can we protect our assets, Giant Eagle, Kroger's? How do we protect our assets? We either A, no longer have this asset in this area where we know it can get ran into, or two, we beef up security. You beef up security, you're going to have dead people. You take the place out, you're going to have more hungry people. They're going to find a place to go and get your food. So this is a real pickle. I'm just telling you guys what I see happening. I'm just telling you the worst of what I see happening. Something's going to have to give. Something's going to break. Something's going to move. Well, once again, a movable object and an unstoppable force, and one of those are going to have to give. If we keep stimulating the economy and not going out and working, and the economy getting back, you're going to have a wave. You're going to have a wave of crime. You're not. There's not going to be a need for protest. These are not going to be protesters. These are not going to be BLM people going out talking about police brutality. That's not what's going to happen. These are going to be just simple peoples with the one drive is to feed their self-preservation, and that's going to be stronger than anything you've ever been up against. Because there's not going to be any rhyme or reason. You're not going to, and when I say that, you're not going to be able to reason with them unless you got a truck full of groceries. I mean, look at what they did to that Amazon lady. They saw an Amazon truck. They went and stripped everything in that truck. Everything. And then took her purse. Because she got out and started beefing with them. And they opened that door. They took everything inside of that Amazon van. One of them big old vans, they took everything. You think that's bad? Wait until they come in and try to take what you got. I'm just telling you what's going to happen. It's going to get worse and worse. They're going to look. I just saw a video on WorldStar where these kids came into Walgreens or something like that, and the manager accused them of stealing, and they were like, "We weren't. Like we were. What did we steal?" They said, "Okay." Guy goes, comes back in the door. 5 other kids, and they stole everything that they could and ran out. What are you going to do? Good luck trying to catch them. They all have masks on their face. I wouldn't try to stop them. You accuse them of something that they didn't do. And they're tired of the nonsense. Now, I'm not for, you know, doing that, but you accuse them. When they came in to do it the righteous way, you racially profiled them, so they just said, we had enough. Enough. And that's what's going to happen. There's going to be enough. There's going to be enough. I'm telling you. I mean, I want my stimulus check too, but just think if you get your stimulus check and the bank fails, just drink that in. Say you got yourself 30, 40,000 and you're good. You're like, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing good. I got 30, 40 G's and I'm busy. I'm good. Guess what if the bank fails? You think your bank can't fail, you're fooling yourself. It can. It can shut right down with your money in it. Remember the one guy who won, he won so much money, like 500 and some odd $1 million. Next thing you know, his daughter and his granddaughter ended up dead. And I was like, that's terrible. And then he lost more money because the bank he put it in took it. Just think about that. The bank just takes thousands and thousands of your money and was just like, now you're not getting it back. Remember the woman, the story, it was a black woman. She had, it wasn't a lottery, She got her money legit. It was some kind of way she got it. And it was legit. She either won it or something like that. But it was more than the bank is used to seeing her have. So it was already deposited in the bank, and she went to get it, and the teller, start questioning her. Like, oh, you got some change. How'd you get it? Which is not their business. And she was like, I don't want to, like, I don't need to disclose that to you. They shut her account down until further investigation. It was on the news. And she was like, well, how long does it take you guys to investigate? And they were like, well, it could take a while. Till further investigation. They took her money. It was like, no money for you. Her bank account. She legit had. They just took it and investigated her until further notice. You mean to tell me that's legal? They legally did that. Hold on a second. Who controls the banking? Who controls the banking system? Who controls the banking system? Not you. You don't control the banking system. How old most of you guys are, but there was a time where you put your money in the bank and they were like, yeah, get a savings account. And the reason why they told you to get a savings account is because the savings account, you were able to, the savings account, you were able to earn money as long as the money was in there. See, the way the banks work, I'm not saying you guys don't know, but of course the way the banks work is you put your money in the bank, your money doesn't stay there. Your money doesn't stay there. They take your money and then they lend it. And they lend it so somebody else will owe them and then money comes back in. You know what I'm saying? You give your money to Mr. Jones and he was like, okay, I'll hold your money for you. And he says, as a matter of fact, as long as I hold your money for you, I'll give you more money over a certain amount of time. If you leave it here, if you leave $1,000 here, by the time the year is out, it'll be $1,160. Right? That's the whole thing. How's it going?
Okay.
You all right?
Yeah.
You need
I
help?
just came back from a doctor's appointment, so they did some stuff that kind of made me hurt a little bit.
Uh oh. You okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's about to have a baby. So anyway, so that's what they do. They take that money and they lend it out, and then they get more money. So when you go to ask for your money is there. But that's what they're doing. Lending out. They're constantly lending that money out. So if everybody went to the bank at once and said, "Give us some money," you all would not get your money. You wouldn't. It would not happen. You know what I'm saying? And this is how banks fail because they don't get the return that they should have, and then people are like, "Hey, I want my money back." So you get banks that are failing, but you got large banks that are out there. You think they can't fail, but large banks are loaning out large amounts of money, so they can fail. And if the bank closed right now, if your bank closed right now, you're hopefully your bank is FDIC. And to my limited understanding of FDIC, that means your bank is backed up by the Federal Reserves. I could be wrong. One of you 5.9 grade point averages can, clarify that for me. But that's what I think it is. FDIC is where it's pretty much insurance. It's like AIG. It's like, if the bank fails, boom, you can still get your money here. How many of us really get into that? I mean, you call your bank and say, "Hey, are you FDIC?" Have you ever called the bank and say, "Hey, you FDIC? What if you guys close right now? Where would my money go?" They will probably say, "Oh, your bank is not going to close. We're in good shape." But that's not the question. The question is, what if it closes? I might do a video on it. What if you guys close? Where would my money go? You would be out of luck. You would not have that money. That would be it. So, and like I said, the value of the dollar is constantly depreciating. The only thing that's going to be, I'm telling you, we're going to go back to the days of, to the beginning where everybody traded. You know, that's what's going to be valuable. It's going to be what you need has the most value. And that's where I can see this going if everything just keeps exploding like Beirut. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so this stimulus check coming out, I'm just saying it sounds good, and we're all hopeful that we get our hands on a few dollars. But unless the economy gets back up and rolling, that stimulus check is actually hurting us. I mean, it sounds silly, but it isn't. In the long run, it's putting America right back in debt. Do you know what Obamacare was all about? For one, Obamacare did not start Obamacare. It's only named Obamacare because he's the one that implemented it. Well, he's the one that actually released it into the economy. It was actually, I think, made by Reagan, I think. But Obamacare, basically, it was uh, introduced into Medicare or the medical system because it was designed to help the economy. It was actually help designed to get America out of debt. That was its main purpose. It had an economical purpose. It wasn't really, this end all to be all where everybody gets insurance because, as you can see, Obamacare doesn't really cover everyone at every hospital. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you have long term care. I'm not going to get into that. But that's basically what it was for. Obama was like, why don't we use this and try to get the deficit to come down? That was the whole idea. Well, what we're doing now is the reverse of that. That's what's actually happening. We're doing the reverse of that in less than 4 years. What? Well, yeah, less than 4 years. Well, 4 years. We're doing the reverse of what it was designed to do. We're going back into that simply because there's nothing else that we can do. If you don't give these people money, there's going to be rioting in the street that's going to be just for money. And they're going to go see these senators' houses. They're going to go see these, congressmen. And they're already, these people are already under fire. I mean, people are standing up and like, yo, we're blaming you for all of these. You see the Michael Brown issue. They're looking at all of them and saying, hey, you guys are not going to be around. They're talking about the cops and all them and those people who are in charge. They're like, we are not voting for you next year. The power to the people. We're not going to vote for you. We seen what you did. Darren Wilson didn't get charged again for the third time. We're not voting for you guys. You guys are public officials. Your job is here because we voted for you. We're not voting for you anymore. So people are really taking that stuff seriously. They know that the system is corrupt. And I'm just saying that people are not afraid to confront these people now. They're really not. And now is the time to do it because you're not going to see any of these, state senators, congressmen, U.S. congressmen. These guys are not suffering. They're not suffering. They're not sending their kids to war. Their kids are not on the front line unless they're just rebellious kids. You're not seeing any of that. They're not going to let their kids join the Marines and go to the front line. The Vanguard, not going to happen. So, hey, we got to take it to these people. We got to, get in front of their houses and let them know you either change what's going on or, you're going to be in our shoes. You're going to be right out here, poor, just like us. Your whole house is going to be empty. There's going to be nothing in it. Nothing. You're going to go home to zilch. Your fancy car, your maid, all that's going to be gone. Your whole house is going to be cleaned out. And you're going to be right out here on the streets with us. Like it or lump it. So that's just what I have to say about the stimulus check. If the economy doesn't get back going on, and they keep giving out stimulus checks, that dollar is going to sink. It's going to sink even faster. I mean, it's already sinking, but it's going to sink even faster. And about time, look, they say a year. About time they get a cure, one in a year, and then the cure is implemented to whoever's going to get it, because we know that everybody's going to get it, and they're going to play with the people. They're going to say you have to do this to get this, and then they're going to make it some kind of freaking law. I mean, they're already making mask a law. They're arresting people for not having a mask. People are getting harassed and arrested for not having a mask, and it's not a law. So this just lets you know how far this is gonna go. Like, is that a law that I don't know? Well, you can't come in here without. It says, where's the law at? According to this private company says that you cannot come in here. It's like, okay, it's a private company. I get it. They make the rules, so on and so forth. But you can't arrest me for it because it's not breaking a law. You know what I'm saying? This is one of their rules. You know what I'm saying? But is it breaking a state, city, county, federal law? No, it's not. There are people getting arrested for it. That's just insane to me. Kick them out of the store. You're not kicking them out of the store. You're coming into the store and you're arresting them. The police should come into the store and say, hey, you know, Walmart wants you to wear a mask when you're in here. Well, I don't have a mask and I'm not buying one. I don't believe in wearing a mask. Okay, well, can you please go out the store? Sure. End of story. No. Put your hands behind your back. And then there's this whole wrestling match that's unnecessary. It's like, wait, how are you arresting me because of a rule? You can only arrest me because of a law, but they're not. So if they're doing that with masks, people, it's just going to get worse. Just think of when they start implementing this, whatever cure it is, whatever cure it is, and how they implement it. Look, my neighbor was like, yo, because they just, they had a baby. It was like, he's like, my girl was told that she had to get vaccinated. And the kid, the child, had to get vaccinated. This is what they told her. She works at a medical facility. But they was like, yo, you cannot bring your kid to daycare without vaccination. You had to get vaccinated. I mean, just drink that in. And basically, coronavirus, being that it's worldwide, you're going to have to get vaccinated, right? I mean, am I right? So if they're going to vaccinate everyone, and they're already telling you, look, you don't get vaccinated, you get no money. That's what they told them. You're leaving this job if you don't get vaccinated. Hold on. We really happy here on this game we play. Lost in the world. All right, so they told them, they said, look, you have to get vaccinated. What do? They don't want to lose their money, so they go out and get vaccinated. So now coronavirus is here. How do you think they're going to do this? Do you think it's going to be mandatory that you get vaccinated or you can't go shopping? Huh? Is that what you think? Or do you think it's going to be casually implemented? You think they're going to say, yo, James, Michael, Mary, Susan, if you don't want to get the coronavirus vaccination, you don't have to. You don't have to. You don't have to. You don't have to. It's okay. You think that's what they're going to do? Or you think they're going to go, yo, 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 you cannot come into Walmart or any other major store Listen, UDF wouldn't even serve me because I didn't have a mask on. They were like, you ain't got no mask. We not serving you. That's what they did. They turned me away. UDF. 10 people in there at the most. On a good day. It was like, get out. UDF. What do you think they're going to do in these large? It's going to be lights out. If you're not vaccinated, you're not going shopping in these areas. That's what's going to happen. And it's going to be law. It's going to be a law. It's not going to be a rule. It's not going to be some, whimsical, oh, this store has it, the other one doesn't have it. It's going to be, I mean, I've seen signs where, where I went into places where they said the governor said that now you have to. So if the governor says it, that means they're trying to make it a law. That's what's going to happen, people. When this vaccination comes out, if you don't have a vaccination, you're not going to go into these stores. They're not going to let you in. Now the fun part happens. How do we know you're vaccinated? How much does vaccination cost? Where's the vaccination going to be implemented? Am I going to be able to go to the local health center and get a vaccination for free? Is welfare, is Medicare going to cover vaccination? Who's going to cover? Is vaccination going to cost? How much does a vaccination cost? I don't have any kids, so I don't know. How much is a? But this is coronavirus we're talking about. So let's just say vaccination is $500 each for each person, not for a household. If you got a family of 6, that's 3 G's. Who got that kind of money? I'm just saying they can do this easily. I'm not saying it will happen. I'm saying it's coming around the mountain when she comes. I mean, just think they can actually do that. They can go vaccinations $500 a person. That's it and that's all. What are you gonna do? If you don't got the cash, what are you gonna do? And they're going to find out if you're vaccinated because they're going to do something to implement whether you're vaccinated or not. You're going to have some kind of mark. You're going to have something on your ID. There's going to be some way of knowing whether you're vaccinated or not and your kid's vaccinated. Listen, they're trying to give out money to anybody with a social security number. So if you have a newborn, your newborn has a social security number, right? So there's like, okay, there's a house of 7. They have a newborn. This baby is 3 months old. Boom, that baby gets a check too, right? Right, right. It's all good, right? If my baby gets a check, I'm down with that, right? Here's the thing. Everybody with a social security number, which means they're already tracking you, has to be vaccinated. So in order to get this vaccination, let's say you have to pay 5 grand, which is ridiculous, or not 5 grand, but 500, which is ridiculous. But nonetheless, any amount is kind of ridiculous to me. It should be free 100%. But nonetheless, I think there is a cost to getting vaccinated. I mean, am I wrong? Somebody's paying for that somewhere, right? Who pays for vaccinations now? Is it in a healthcare plan? I don't know. I'm not even in the working field, so I don't know. Is it in a healthcare plan? Is it Medicare, Medicaid? I don't know how it goes, but I know that there's a cost to it. So let's just say that they ramp up the cost because of how influential coronavirus is and the need to get the economy back on the road. So let's just say they do put it at $300-400. Boom. You got $300-400 to get vaccinated. And then they say you have to get vaccinated every year. So that is now it's just not a cost, it is a fixed cost. You know it's coming. January the 1st, you need to be vaccinated by the 1st for the next year, for that year. So boom, by the 1st, you need to be vaccinated. If you're not coming into the store, which means you can't eat. That's just that. And then they can easily govern how much food that you take. Just like they were governing toilet paper. You know, the women were going in and grabbing 30 rolls of toilet paper, and then the manager would come up and say, hey, nope, only 2 rolls per family. You think they can't do that again? What makes you think they can't? You go through that checkout line and they look at all the food you got and they be like, let me see your ID. Boom, check your ID. And then go, boom, I know that you have so many people in your family because you've been coming here. I know you have so many people in your family. Boop, 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 boop. You have to put this, and this back. Boom, all goes back. They only allow you to have so much. Then you try to go to the next store and they, let me see your ID. You already got this food. We already know it. It's already in the system. Boom, out. You're out of here. And you can't come back into the store for 2 months. So they ban you. They put you on a ban just so you won't do it again. They punish you. So if you try it again somewhere else, boom, you get banned from there. You get banned from enough stores, you'll be going out of town just to get a loaf of bread. I mean, it sounds silly, but not so much. Not so much. I'm just saying, this is all highly possible. And I can see it all happening all off of a stimulus check. I mean, I know it. You guys may be thinking I'm reaching, it's far fetched, but not when you look at the state that we're in. Not when you look at the value of the dollar that's already dropping, and we're not going back to work. People are not going to work. You got more people out of work now than ever. Of course, you got more people now than ever, but you got more people not going back to work now than ever. Listen, when the economy was in full swing and the unemployment rate was down in full swing, there were already millions of people who decided we're not going back to work. You had at least 1 million men, or over 1 million just men, decided I'm not going back to work. And I'm not saying men as in old men, 70. No, I'm talking about working able, nothing wrong with them. Men was like, I'm not going back to the working field. You know why they didn't want to go back? Because of the feminist movement. They got tired of losing their jobs because they looked at a woman. The Me Too movement hurt them. And they were just like, this is ridiculous. And then they found out that they weren't protected. So they were losing everything because they looked at, hey, Marcy, how you doing today? Next thing you know, Marcy goes to HR, and guess who works in HR? A bunch of other Marcys. And they sided with her. Like, Thomas, you said hello to Marcy, just a little too nice. And you know what, Tom? Thomas. You're fired. You got 2 choices. You either leave or they force you to leave. You either leave with the severance package or they, go ahead and take you to court and take everything you have. So you have millions of men who decided, the Me Too movement was just too much. So they're not, you have all these people who decided we're not going back to work. We're going to find another way to make a living. We're going to hustle. We're going to do whatever. And that's exactly what they did. That's what they did. So guess who's not stimulating the economy at these jobs anymore? Listen, Yahoo got sued because their CEO is a woman and she was canceling men in the company. Get out. The men turned around and did the same thing the women have been doing for years. We're just like, we're going to sue you. You just can't. You can't do that. You just can't kick me out. I didn't do nothing. They were like, get out. Yeah. They sued Yahoo for that. So I'm saying there has been a fluctuation in the economy because of, one, the feminist movement, the Me Too movement, that has been hurting the economy. It's not safe for a man to go to work and even act like you want to be nice. Just regular nice. Because those women, they were going after you, especially if you were in the upper echelon, in the upper management. They were just like, oh yeah, we're about to get paid off of you. And that's what a lot of them were doing. The golden umbrella wasn't protecting them. They were taking their money. So I'm saying we got to be wise to the game, people. This has been falling down. Now, before I end, I'm gonna say this: what I always say: protect yourself. Uh, I think there's more. I think there's more value in metals, gold, silver, copper, things along that line. I think if you have things of value, you're gonna need to, be able to trade them. Uh, food, water, shelter, uh, heck, anything that somebody could use, tires, a skill. You don't have a skill, get one. You know, get something. Learn how to fix a car. Do something. Everything's on YouTube. You know, and be able to trade that. You know, you put up my solar panels and I'll fix your carburetor type of thing. Because I think that's what it's going to come down to. But if you are dead weight, you have no skill, well, it's not going to work for you. Another thing, exercise as much as you can because you might need to walk a long distance if the gas is no longer available. You might need to hoof it from one state to another, and I mean that literally. So keep your heart, get your heart rate going for 20 minutes a day. Push ups, sit ups. You ain't got to be Hulk Hogan, but don't be lazy. And prepare for the long run. It's your boy Tone 202. Thanks for stopping by.